Three, two, one, and we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Funky Marketing Podcast. After a small break, after the holidays, New Year, and all these things, it's time to kick off 2025 with another episode of Funky Marketing Podcast. But today it's going to be in a form of webinar. No guests, and I tend to keep this on, not having guests, and because I have a lot of things to say, and I don't want you to remember me as a guy who only interviews people. I'm the guy who does a lot of stuff, who knows a lot of stuff, and it's time that I start talking about all these things. So today we're going to talk about how to craft a LinkedIn strategy to build trust, engage, and drive growth. So welcome. But before we start, it's been a long day, and I want to just have a small relaxed chat with you. I spent the day hanging out with Deloitte team from Serbia here in Belgrade, and spending time with them and three companies that received the award for the fast track companies, meaning the companies who grew the most here in Serbia in last, if I'm not wrong, 2 years. And I'm happy that one of them is a friend of mine, Nikola Bradovic. So Nikola, congrats. And we had a soup in the restaurant, and it was so salty that I will drink a lot of water while we are doing here this. So don't mind me doing this. But before we get into all of that, I just want to use this platform to kind of raise a voice. I don't know if you heard, if you're from Serbia, you definitely did, but if you're not from Serbia, we are having a huge student protests here in Serbia, a huge student movement. I think is one of the biggest in the world ever. And they are fighting for their rights, for the system of the state to start working as it should. It all started after we had a canopy at the train station falling down, killing 15 people, and a lot more things happening from there, like what happened in between for the 2 months, like the government collapsed, the prime minister gave his how do we call it? He resigned. And today, students from Belgrade started walking on foot 80 kilometers to Novi Sad, where this Saturday, we, along with them, we're going to block all 3 bridges in Novi Sad, probably gathering around 100 people. And I'm looking forward for that. And just want to raise the voice and congratulate those kids, those students, because they are doing an amazing work, and after a long time, I'm glad that I'm a part of this country, and I'm glad that those kids are over there. We all felt like they are just kids who are just spending time looking at their phones, not interesting about the society around them, but we see that it's not true, and I cannot be more happy to see that as somebody who is a youth worker, who has been working with youth a lot, fought for the youth rights, for over 10 years. I'm more than happy to do that. And you can also see the creativity. I wrote about it on LinkedIn, how they are using video, how they're using visuals, a lot of stuff to create, copywriting, to come up with the messages, with videos, with everything, and to raise their voice and awareness. It's growing each day here in Serbia. So really love that. Not against the regime, but it's for their rights, for the state system to work as it should. So now, enough of that. It's time to go into our today's topic, which is crafting a LinkedIn strategy to build trust, engage, and drive growth, but specifically from the company standpoint. Now, why is this topic so important? Because I see a lot of companies that don't know actually how to approach LinkedIn. they know, usually they go to the company page, they focus on the company pages because they think LinkedIn is just like all the other platforms, but it's not. LinkedIn is a platform when personal profiles are the ones dominating, because the core message of the platform is connect the world's professionals and make them more successful and productive. That's the LinkedIn mission. So with that, the focus needs to be on the personal profiles. But before we even get to the LinkedIn, I want to give you a kind of a few things that you need to know as a company to be able to execute on LinkedIn. And those are the questions I usually ask companies before I start working with them. A lot of companies don't have these answers, which is kind of scary and sad all at once. But also it means that they didn't get as deep as possible. And it means that a lot of companies don't know what marketing actually does, how marketing can help them, and how early marketing needs to be involved in all of their activities and everything that they do. Before I get into all of this, make sure to ask questions anytime. The second you hear something that you don't understand, feel free to ask questions. I can see the comments, and I'll be happy to answer all of them. So use me. I'm on LinkedIn for a long time. I'm spending a lot of time here. I've been pronouncing one of the top marketing rising stars of marketing in 2023 by LinkedIn. Some of the people you should follow. I post a lot, I test a lot, I work with a lot of companies, and I really know what I'm talking about. It's not just theory, it's not something that I heard from other people. It's something they are doing for companies and something that is working. And I'm here to help you also do it for yourself. You don't need to hire me. If you implement all this in your own way, you will be able to grow on LinkedIn and actually use the platform, because it's the biggest platform when it comes to B2B sales and when it comes to B2B. People don't come on LinkedIn to buy, to be sold, better said. They come on LinkedIn to educate, to learn, to spend time with interacting with their peers, to create relationships, and at the end, to also buy when it's the right time and it's the right problem. They are ready to buy if you already created the trust, because trust is the number one currency in B2B, and LinkedIn is platform where we build all that. So before we get to the LinkedIn, there are a couple of things that you as a company need to figure out, to know, to be able to execute on LinkedIn. So what are those questions and what are those things? First one is, why do you really exist? Not you as a person, but company. Why did you create the company? It's not to sell something. That's not an answer. You need to know exactly why do you exist. I don't know, to make awesome products. Maybe yes, maybe that's your passion, but with that you are kind of solving a problem. So you need to dig deeper, right? To make people happy. Okay, which people? How do you make them happy? The second one, who needs you and why? Because somebody needs your services or your product. For example, it can be, I don't know, early stage startups. So it can be non-tech founders who wants to build products or whatever it is. And, they need somebody else. Or your established company, who needs you is an established company, and they need, for example, digital product strategy or transformation. They don't know how to level up, for example. So you need to go really deep and figure out who exactly needs you and why. So your ICP and your target audience, you need to know those things in depth. Now, the third thing to ask yourself is, how are you different than any other company that does what you do? Right? Extremely hard question. A lot of companies don't know the answer to that. How are you different than other people? I heard an answer that really resonated with me, that said, we want to grow with our clients. we don't want to double book people, to just charge them for consultancy. We want to grow with our clients, to help them build products, to help them each step of the way, and to grow as they are growing if we are growing. And I always say that for the funky marketing, right? I want to, we are different because with our clients, we are partners. And I always tell our clients that I want them to be with us until the end of time. We solve one problem, then we go solving the other problem, then we go solving the third problem. So that's how it is. So you need to find that uniqueness that really differentiate you from other people. So think about that. The third question you need to ask yourself is, who are your top competitors? Who are the biggest competitors who are you're competing against? Sometimes it's not a company. Sometimes it can be the in-house teams. If you are somebody who is a fractional, for example, CMO or a consultant or something like that, or if you are a team that is developing specific technology and you are basically replacing an in-house teams, right? Or on the other hand, if you're a developing team, other development agencies are your competitors. And I like to go in depth using SimilarWeb, for example, SEMrush, whatever it is, to figure out how are they differentiating themselves, what's their messaging, what's their positioning, and see if there is a gap that I can use. And that's also the part of the previous question and the previous answer. How do we differentiate ourselves from them? You need to know how our competitors are positioning themselves, what's their messaging, how is their product different than ours, or also their services, whatever it is. Do they have specific features? Do they have specific focus? And then we focus on some things that they don't have, or we have, I don't know, maybe better, whatever it is. But we need to find out and figure out the gap to actually be able to go over there and see how we can go ahead of them. Okay, then the fifth question is, what is your top service or product and how much do people pay for it? You need to be open about it and know this is our top service or top product and this is how much people pay for it. So that's how you differentiate yourself. So we have a cheap product, but we're delivering the value in other way, or we have an expensive product, and it also kind of determines the way you are going to sell and the way you're going to the market. Then you need to answer, what is your 3-month growth goal? What is the goal for this year? And basically, if you break it down in quarters and then in months, you will be able to know what's the focus for this month, what's the focus for this quarter, and what's the focus for first 6 months, and what's the focus for the year. It will make your job easier. You don't believe how many companies and marketers don't have this figured out, right? Then what growth KPIs do you measure? Is it the number of revenue? Is it the number of clients? Those things are important. Also, maybe, are your people happy? That also can be something that you measure. And you need to know what C-level of the company, if you're not C-level and you're listening to me, if you are, for example, marketing leader, you need to go get as close as possible to knowing how your company is making money, meaning what is the C-level focus on and what do they measure. That's how you can also explain to them how using LinkedIn you get closer to those goals and actually connect these two. Who is your ideal client? What are they like? Jobs to be done here are something that you need to think about, because you are actually selling, if you're in B2B, to the group of people, and you need to know exactly the jobs they are doing and how what you're selling to them is solving their specific problems to each one of them. So it can be the CTO, for example, or CMO that you are selling. All of them have different goals. Then it's the CFO, definitely, who will give money for what you are trying to sell. And also there is the decision making, which is the CEO of the company. Then what is the top problem they are trying to solve by working with you? So how does your product or service solves the biggest problem that they have? What are their other options if they don't work with you, buy from you or the competitor? How many people are involved in deciding to work with you, to buy, and who are those people? Right? So you need to know who are those people. For example, in startups, it can be founders. Founders usually takes 2 to 3 months to close. If it's corporations, it's somebody from the C-suite, usually a CTO. If it's something that's developing service, for example, it can take a lot longer. For example, like 6 to 12 months, even longer. How long do clients stay? So that's specifically important. So you know if you are getting clients, how much time are they spending with you? What's the lifetime value of those clients? How often do clients make referrals to other good clients? You need to figure out all those stuff and know. I'm asking all these companies before we start working together. How long does it take a client to decide to buy? Where do they go to look channels? This is where you find out if LinkedIn is the right channel for that. This is where you figure out all those things. You don't need to go just on LinkedIn because somebody told you that LinkedIn is good for B2B. You need to know if your target audience is spending time on LinkedIn. Also, you need to figure out if they are spending time on LinkedIn to educate themselves or they go over there to buy, or it's both of them. Or if they go, when they're buying, are they going somewhere else? You need to be able to not go blind and to know each step of the buyer's journey, so your market team becomes something that you give them in each step of the way to facilitate the sale, because marketing is facilitating the sale. How do current clients describe your solutions? What do they call it? How would they Google it? Right? It's important that you know what would they type in Google to find your name, so you know how you're communicating, what's your messaging, right? Where are the biggest bottlenecks in the sales process right now? For example, for a lot of companies, if you talk about LinkedIn specifically, is how do we get started with LinkedIn? If you don't have a team that it's already active and posting, the hardest thing ever is to activate them. Right? This is motivation and psychology, is not marketing strategy or anything else. So you need to first go into that psychology, because each member of your team have something specific why they are not posting on LinkedIn. I already have, I think, 15 reasons why or excuses people have for not posting on LinkedIn. And maybe I need to do an episode on that. That would be funny. But usually when I hear that from the company, I send them the list and I have, okay, how many of these do you have? Because these are the excuses I hear most often when I talk with the companies. So you need to figure those things out, and you need to have a support system or a hub, I call it, inside the company to support them along the way, right? To motivate them. When they start becoming active and somebody writes a negative comment on their post, so they don't stop posting out of scares or something else. So you need to support them along the way. You need to know what questions do prospect and clients ask over and over, right? For example, how do you build product remotely? What happens if deadline is not met? I don't know. Do we strictly follow this roadmap? When do we get the first results? Those kind of things. So you know which topics to cover, right? You need to ask yourself, do you have a strategic narrative or a sales pitch? Do you know which narrative are you using to communicate your value, your differentiation, and the benefits of working with you, or your product or your services? If you don't have that, don't go on social media. Don't create content. You need to figure out those things first, and then you go over there. Do you have some case studies maybe? That's also something to think about. Who do you have in your team? Do you have people who can talk about specific topics, or no? Or is just you the CEO? Think about all these things. So those are all the things that you need to figure out. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in a chat, in the comments. I'll be happy to answer all of them. But before I continue, let me just have a few sips of water. Salty ragu soup. Yeah, that's what happens. It was a fancy restaurant, but the soup was so salty and we were not satisfied. Sometimes we forget how good water is. You know, that's something that's essential, and I really love drinking water. Amazing topic to talk about, right? Okay, let's move into the main topic for today: long-term content strategy and how do we create it. To be able to create a sustainable and impactful content strategy, we need to first establish pillar themes that we're going to talk about, right? So what are the pillar themes? What I like to do is come up with 4, because we have 4 quarters, and each 3 months needs to be dedicated to specific topics. Usually I like to tie them to the benefits or to the problems. So we know these are the 4 problems that we need to solve. How are we solving them? This is the topic for that quarter. So for example, we have 4 pillar topics to talk about. I'll give you some examples in a minute, but that's on one side. On the other side, we need to see what are the resources that we have and where do we publish that content, right? It can be on a website, but now I want to focus specifically on LinkedIn. So we have a company page, which needs to be by default a resource that we're going to use. And on the other hand, we have profiles of our employees from the company, right? So for example, we always have or need to have founder's profile. Founder's profile is the most important profile for any company, And you don't have a luxury for not using your founders or CEO's profile. You don't have that luxury. That's your most important channel, most relevant, with the most authority, with the highest authority, and somebody majority of people trust. So you need to know that and also have it in mind and use it, right? You cannot not use the CEO's profile. How do you use it? We'll go to that later. Then, for example, if you have a C-suite, it's the CTO, it's the CMO, it's the CFO, it's the, I don't know, head of HR, whatever it is. You have a couple of layers of people from the company that you can use. It usually goes into the couple of layers or categories, however do we call them. So do you know which one are they? Anybody? Yes? No? Okay, let me give you a couple of categories. So first you have those who are decision makers and who are by default influencers of your company, right? So those are the people who maybe are already creating content on their profiles, or by default they need to communicate because they are partners, they are C-suites, or they are managers or running the teams. So those are the first people who will create content. Then you have another layer, which are the people who are liking, commenting. Those are the people who are, from time to time posting, Those are the people who are somewhere in between, who are a little bit shy. Maybe they don't post enough. They need a strategy. They need a support to start posting regularly. But they are interested. They are invested. So they are trying to give value through the content, through the comments, through liking, and those kind of things. The third category are those people who don't post ever, but they just like and repost things from the company page, from the first category, which is the decision makers, the managers, the leaders of the company, and they're trying to give their supports in that way. And there's another final category, which are the people who are not posting, who will never post, who will never react, who don't like this, and we just leave them out of it. They are not important. So for this thing here, we're going to focus on the leaders, on those people who have it kind of natural to go out there and post and share content. I'm going to explain everything, why and how it is, but that's how it goes. So basically, you need to have the company page on one page, and on the other hand, you have the individual profiles of the leaders from the company. The strategy revolves usually around long-term consistency, because LinkedIn, nothing is built fast. In B2B, you need to earn trust, and it takes time for that. And usually when my wife asks me what I'm doing, send me just a random message during the day, I send her a GIF from Silicon Valley, the series, TV series, where a guy looks out of the window and there is just the curtains moving like this. And I told her that's what I'm doing, because it takes time. You do something now and you see the results in 3 months, and that's how it is. And that's the mindset you need to have by going into the LinkedIn, right? So each profile is amplifying the overarching message of the company through personal narratives and professional expertise. Each leader has its own expertise, and they're amplifying the voice, the basic message, the pillar that you are communicating through the company page. And basically, we like to call that surrounding sound. It's not enough to just go to the company page. Even if you go and sponsor a few of your best posts, you need to have people from the company who are actually adding their own personal narratives to it, talking from their own perspective. For example, the CEO talks about the vision, about leadership. COO talks about running the company, about the structure, about all the operations, all these things. CFO talks about finances. Then we have, for example, the copywriter talking about writing and psychology. We have designer talking about design, CMO talking about campaigns, measurement, all those kind of things. So all of them giving their own narrative in their own way. So that's important to remember, because you need to create that surrounding sound, because that will amplify your voice. And from just a couple of thousands of people that will see the content on the company page, it will amplify by thousands, by millions, if you involve the members of your team, right? This is something to think about. So let's go and let's see how it goes. You need to first define the pillar teams for your company. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Like some of those things can be, purposeful innovation, focus on building products that solve meaningful problems, not just follow trends. Another one can be scalability and reliability, right? Reliability. Okay, it's been a long day. So another one can be design that resonates. Now it can be sustainable growth for startups. Then it can be team expertise and collaboration. You focus on all this. So those can be all the topics that you talk about at once, but it's better to separate them, and usually tell to the people, go with four core topics, tie them with the problems, tie them with benefits, tie them with value that the company you are targeting are getting from your product or from your service, and you cannot be wrong. So let's go and see. So we have a company page on one side. It's basically the hub of your company's story. It's the starting point. I usually said, the company page is the umbrella, and people from the company are all these little things that's holding the umbrella to save you from the rain, right? I usually like that comparison because it's really good, right? It's an umbrella and people are holding it so you don't get wet. Pretty good. I'm proud of myself for coming up with that. Okay, so let's move on. From that, we have to see which content format is the best for us, right? What can we produce? For example, it can be thought leadership articles on your company's philosophy and approach. It can be case studies that detail successful projects. It can be team spotlight to humanize the company and highlight individual expertise. Who are the people building the products? Who are the people delivering the service? And you need to have guides and resources. How to scale tech solutions. Here is the guide. Then when you know the format, when you know if it's thought leadership articles, if it's the case studies, if it's team spotlights, if it's the guides and the resources, I usually tell that you need to have all of these 4, maybe even more formats to focus on them. Then when you have the content format, you need to come up with the posting cadence. So how frequently you're going to post. Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? What I like to do is to use all of it and say, for example, weekly, we will highlight specific themes. For example, innovation, reliability, those kind of things. Monthly, we're going to publish in-depth case study or article. And quarterly, we will reflect on industry trends and how Hurricane is shaping. That's just the name of the company I'm working with, but how your company is shaping solutions for the future. So when you have that, you know exactly what you're doing. So each week you have specific topics under that one that you are focusing on quarterly. So you have, for example, one topic that you're focusing on quarterly, and you have 3 months inside the quarter. So in January, we're going to focus on that part of the subject, of the topic. In February, we're going to focus on this, and in March, we're going to focus on this. So together, they create the full story about the specific problem, for example, that you are solving, right? And then you break it down. Each week, we're going to talk about this inside that first month, right? And on monthly level, we're going to have a case study under this big quarterly topic where we're going to prove that we know what we are talking about. And then, under this huge quarterly pillar topic, we're going to also give predictions for what's going to happen in the future, right? It's pretty simple and it's pretty structured, okay? So you need to think about all these things and little details. Now, when we have the company page and we are focusing our main messages from there, we mentioned that it is a hub. It is a hub from which it all starts. Because when somebody comes to your page, they can see who are the people working in your company. They can see what you're all about. They can see if the content resonates, if it's interesting, and those kind of things, right? So I'm going to give also some examples, but on the company page, you need to make sure that your content is not only educative, but also entertaining. And it also goes for the personal profiles. So think about that. Now, I mentioned how important it is to have your CEO or your founder involved. That's your main profile. That's your main source of everything. It has the highest authority. It has the most credibility of all of you from the company, and it's the profile. Everybody wants to see what that guy or that lady are talking about, right? So you cannot just use your founders or CEO's profile to just repost things from the company page, to just post once a quarter like these are our results, or to post only like Forbes articles, whatever it is that your team is writing for you. No, you need to get personal because you have the most experience. You're the one starting the company. You're the one leader of the company. That profile is the visionary anchor of everything that you produce on LinkedIn. So you need to talk about leadership insights. How do you build a business? Lessons from your entrepreneurial journey from the past, strategies for startups or bigger companies, or I don't know, whoever is your retail companies, but whoever it is, your target audience, and how you're solving their problems. Also, you need to go and set up the vision and talk about where is the company going, how you're growing, what are the results, all these things that you need to get people involved in the vision of the company. And not only people outside of the company and your potential or current customers following the profile of the founder or the CEO, everybody's following the profile of that person, including the people from your company. You are also inspiration and guidance, northern stars for them as well, right? So you need to have a series of content that you can go that goes along with that quarterly topic and gives the personal touch to them from the vision standpoint, right? And this is the profile that you use to share bold perspectives on what you are doing. Those are all the important things. Also, you need to be engaged with other people, right? Tell them they are wrong, tell them they are right, give encouraging words for them, whatever it is, but be involved. If you need to have one channel that you're focused on, for example, you're not a social media guy or lady, whatever it is, you still need to have one platform which you are using to communicate with your customers. And I urge you that LinkedIn is exactly that platform that you are using. The one or number one if you have others as well. Because this is where you will also hear from your customers directly how your team is also doing, how your team is performing. Those are all important things, extremely important things. Now, who else from the company can be involved? A lot of people, but who are those people? So I told you, it can be the C-level, it can be the CTO, who is basically or CEO. CEO is usually the backbone of operation and scalability of the company. So CEO goes in and talks about from the operational standpoint. How do you work with clients? How do you come up with processes? How do you solve specific problems? All these important things, and gives a totally different perspective on everything. For example, I don't know, head of brand marketing can talk about all these things, and everybody who is leading a department can go and talk about what they are doing. It can be the design department, it can be HR, it can be everybody else. And that's also all of them active is the employer branding of the company. So the people from your company communicating your uniqueness, your value, your differentiation, being open about it, but also sharing their uniqueness, their value inside those companies' values. Those things intervene, right? And you need to have a clear statement and clear point of view. That's why I mentioned it before you go to LinkedIn. You need to have a specific strategic narrative and narrative that your company is using to go, and so you differentiate through that. You need to have hard opinions on the things. And I usually said that the CEO is somebody who goes, who can rise above everybody else, see the patterns, and explain it to everybody else so they understand it. That's why we, the strategists, do. And that's what you need to do for your customers through different people inside your company and through the company page to help them create the surrounding sound that will guide them on their way to solve the specific problems. And if your product or the service is the solution for them, that's that's the right way to go. It's literally like a lighthouse. So think about it. Yeah, and okay, so each person from the team has their own perspective on the things, and they talk about the things from the same perspective, and it goes on and on. So these surrounding sounds actually ensures consistency in messaging across platforms and profiles. It ensures diverse perspective that resonate with different audience segments. It is an evolving narrative that reflects your company's growth and expertise. And basically, you gather information from the people. You can test your positioning, you can test your messaging, you can test your narrative, and you can use social media basically to communicate, discuss with people, and create a relationship with them, right? So imagine, if your people, when people come to the LinkedIn feed, they see your employees everywhere, right? Your potential customers. So you are in the comments, you are in the likes. They see your post, they see your point of view, it resonates with them. You're using their words to kind of express it. So they feel like they know you. For example, one of your guys is playing golf. It will resonate with one of the customers. Other one is running, preparing for the Ironman. It will resonate with somebody else. They will connect on the human level. But the most important thing is that hub that you have on the company page, which is exactly proving your credibility as a company and can you actually solve the problem, right? And then you need to take that and distribute it through the personal profiles of the people working in the company and show it so different people from your target audience can understand it, right? So it means that basically you need to look at the content as a product. And looking at it like that and do it like that, it merges long-term content planning with a product-oriented approach. And by focusing on shipping high-impact content, let's call them products, you will establish yourself as a thought leader and resource hub and drive engagement and value from your target companies, right? So let's look what it is. So you have core pillar teams for your content products. We mentioned, so it's like 4 of them. Then what are the content products? So for example, it's cornerstone articles, so long form blog posts. Let's use that as an example. So frequency 1 per month. The goal of it is to drive deep into challenges, trends, solutions, and position your company as a thought leader. And then you come up with, with some examples. For example, for the CTOs or the startup founders, we're going to communicate this. For the project managers and UX designers, we're going to communicate this. For the founders and investors, we're going to communicate this. right? So that's one content product, the long form article. Then you go into the case studies, basically in-depth project highlights, and I would post them once per quarter that demonstrate how uh, the expertise your company has with real world examples. And I like to use for the case studies the clear and simple structure, which is the problem defines the client's challenge, solution explain how your unique approach is solving that problem, outcome or show results, metrics, user feedback, savings, all of these things. And you have the fourth one, which is team insights, include quotes from the team members. So you make it real, and you make it so they can feel it, right? So these are the things that you think about. And that's the product number 2. The product number 3 is total leadership videos. You need to go with videos on LinkedIn, because through videos, you actually prove that people can see and hear your accent. Do you know what you're talking about? Are you smiling or are you serious? They can see if, and feel, do you have the authority or no? You know, those kind of things are extremely important. And it on LinkedIn, it should be like short, high value clips. I would post one every 2 months, not that frequently as you might think, right? So this is on the company page. Every one of these products is on the company page. So the goal is to share insights visually to reinforce the key themes that your company is talking about. I don't know, what most companies get wrong about scaling, or a quick guide to your philosophy, or how automation saves time and money, you know, those kind of things. The fourth product is interactive webinars or panels. This is what I would do quarterly, just like this one, but come up with the guests, come up with the presentation. And basically I told you that you should have like 4 topics. This webinar covers that. You go in depth with that. And you can also use that webinar, the content of that webinar, to come up with the text for the long form article, right? So the goal is to foster live engagement with practical takeaways and go live on LinkedIn just the way I'm doing right now while live streaming this. Extremely, extremely, again, important to do that. Now, let's go further. We have, what I always suggest for the webinar and for the LinkedIn Live, whatever it is that you are doing, is that you have the same or different members of the team, however it is, but the members of your team present. You want to also raise their authority. So those are the people who are also maybe posting on their profiles, creating that surrounding some, or it can be the expert, somebody who is a technology expert that doesn't post a lot on LinkedIn, but has the knowledge, and this is how you build their authority through the company's live or webinars. So that's also something to think about. And there are also fifth type of product, which is toolkits and templates. Frequency is as needed based on the audience demand. When you see a demand, you create a toolkit or template. So basically, it is something that will provide actionable results, actionable resources that solve specific problems, like audit checklist, user journey mapping template, or startup pitch deck for specific products, whatever it is, like those kind of things with examples, slides, and guides. Number 6 type of product is collaborative white papers and guides. So this is in-depth type of thing, and you don't do it often. You do it once in 6 months because it takes time to come up with the white paper or a guide. It's a long-lasting reference-worthy content. When you co-create content with other people, I don't know, it can be a guide to building scalable tech products, or I don't know, it can be the paper that gives behind-the-scenes insights into your workflow from beginning to end. How do you work with others? Then you involve others to give you the notes, whatever it is, or it can be just a research, for example. And there's one last type of product is quarterly campaign or the surrounding sound. Basically, you need to align all profiles across the company page with a quarterly theme. I don't know, like we mentioned scalability, and that everybody talks about scalability from their own perspective. To give you an example, how does it look like? On the company page, you go and you talk about why scalability matters more than speed. Then on the CEO page, you say scaling isn't just technical, it's strategic. And here how we align all of these things. From the other person's profile, you say, talk about automation, reliability, and their importance for scaling. Then on third person's profile, you talk about that design part of the process, right? How we create interface that grows with the clients and those kind of things. So to give you the execution plan of how this goes. So you create the centralized hub, which is the company page, to publish cornerstone content and highlight the new resources. Then you go into the team amplification of that hub, of that content. So you use the personal profiles of the people from the company to personalize each team on their LinkedIn profiles to resonate with specific audiences. Then the third one goes into the product launch approach. So you should treat each content piece as a product with dedicated landing pages for download and signups, email campaigns that build anticipation before you launch them, collect the feedback to refine the future content based on the user input, and also the cross promotion, where you will link articles to toolkits to the webinars, webinar to the case studies, and it creates a continuous engagement loop. And why the hell is this working? Because of a few things. Consistency. Quarterly teams keep the messaging cohesive, right? So you come up with a topic from the company standpoint, and you go into that topic from every single point of view. 3 months is a lot of time to talk about one topic, right? And you involve people from different departments of your company to talk about it and personalize that message. So that's number one, consistency. The number two is high impact content. So you focus on fewer, more in-depth pieces that build trust and authority. And on a company page, sure, you talk about it, but then when you go to the personal profiles, you basically lower and you get the topic to your audience, to your peers, and to your customers. And you get to discuss with them about the topic. You bring them into the discussion, and it creates trust and authority. And then the third one is problem solving, because each content product addresses a real pain point for the target audience. You don't talk about the things just like that. I mentioned when are you going to it, when you know the answers. So you are actually solving the real problems, right? So that's how it goes. If you had the budget, you can go and invest in thought leadership ads and maybe emphasize, make sure that the right audience is consuming the best posts from the personal profiles, but also on the company page. It's not thought leadership ads, it's boosting or adding the post to the different types of campaigns. But you can also do that if you have the budget to make sure that the right people are consuming the right content. So those are all things which are important, and something you should think about. And this is how actually you create the right strategy for your LinkedIn, for your company. It's not for the personal profile, it's for the company and how you align all the things from the company. So think about these things. It's not something that just goes like that, and it will basically give you the system of how you produce the content and how you go into all these things. So let me kind of break it down for you for the end. If you were listening to me all this time, maybe you're confused, I tell you a lot of things. This is the time that you need to take a pen and actually write it down. So first, define 4 pillar topics for the year. Each quarter focuses on one pillar. Then you create one big, meaningful piece of content every month within that pillar. A blog, a guide, a podcast episode, a webinar, whatever works for you. It can be all of these things, all depends. How much capacity you have and how many people you have to be involved inside the strategy. Then when you do that, break it down. Turn each big piece into a post, a snippet, a live event topic, however you want to break it down. It can be a video, it can be whatever. Then involve your team. Let leaders and employees share it in their own way, with their own perspective. And that's it, guys. That's it. Don't overthink it, but involve your team. The biggest issue here is my team going to be involved? Can I activate my team? So you need to do selling and marketing to your team inside the company before you go to the LinkedIn. Before you go to the LinkedIn, you need to figure out those things out. And that's the hardest thing. And that's the change management inside the company. You need to make them excited about the company, about the mission, about what you're selling, to be able to actually get them to use their own profile to actually amplify the message of your company. But this is how it's been done. This is how I've been doing it for the companies for years now. It's been working so far. It's working. It's still working. And this is what you need to do to actually get it done. If you have questions, feel free to write them down anytime. I'm here to answer. If not, well, that's it for today. It's 9 p.m. already. I've been working the whole day in different ways today. And I'm happy that tomorrow I'm going to the basketball derby to cheer for the Partizan against Red Star, and I'm hoping that we're going to get another win. Yeah, guys, thank you as always for listening. I hope it was worth your time. Have fun. Write me down or tag me if you're creating the content, if you're going with it. I would like to cheer for you. I would like to give you maybe to look at the content and give you a couple of hints what you can improve, because I'm really cheering for you and I want all of you to succeed, because that's the purpose of this podcast, to help you succeed. Cheers. Keep it funky as always. Subscribe. Bye-bye. Wait a second. Excellent info and helpful information. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you for the comment, the perfect comment for the end. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Bye-bye. See you next time. Cheers.